What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talks RoadShow. We are in Bixby, America today, chit-chatting with Elizabeth Phillips. Elizabeth, thanks for taking time out of your hectic schedule to chit-chat with me. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing real good. Hey, so last night was graduation, right?
It was, yes.
How did that all work out, and how are you feeling today being a graduate of the Bixby High School?
I'm not going to lie. I'm really tired.
Yeah?
Kind of early for me, but it's good. I'm happy to be graduated. Thankful for everybody that's gotten me here this far. We are going to finish a really busy year of racing out and then go to college in January. So that's exciting. Not really sure what to think since I haven't been in a real school in like 4 years, but I think that I'm going to be able to figure it out just fine, and I'm super excited for the next journey.
So let's rewind a little bit here to whenever it all first started. Like whenever you very first started racing, was it junior sprints your first attack at racing?
Yeah, so I started in junior sprints and then just kind of worked my way up through restrictors. Really didn't run A class. Kind of just went straight to outlaw. I ran maybe 10 races in A class before my dad threw me an outlaw. I was like, let's go. But I mean, the same thing happened with A class, so I feel like that was the best way to start it. And then we were in outlaw for 2 years and got a sprint car probably halfway through our second year in outlaw and started running it here and there and just really had some issues with the micro stuff. We were rolling engines up, traveling a whole bunch, like nothing was really lining up and everything was going so good with the sprint cars, and we were just having so much fun in it that we decided to sell our micro program completely out and go all in on the sprint cars. And I mean, here we are 2 years later, and I'm having the time of my life. I couldn't ask for anything better.
So back in the day, running junior sprints and everything else, that was like in the what I would call like a prime time of Port City Raceway, like way back in the day. Not taking anything away from current Port City, but that was back in the day where now you look at drivers that you grew up racing, they're racing full-time USAC stuff. They're out winning extreme races. They're out, setting records and everything else. The level of talent that you raced against was pretty strong. Talk about like growing up racing at Port City Raceway. Like, what did you learn racing at Port?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like everybody says, Port's probably the best track in Oklahoma, hands down for micros. If you're racing there, if you're just there as a spectator watching, crewing, like, I really haven't heard anything bad about Port. From out-of-town guys to local guys like us, I mean, I consider that my home track till the day I die. I obviously started there. I grew up there from the time I was little, watching Cannon and Dave race and Jace and all the boys. So, I mean, that's my home. My heart's there. We started probably when all of, like you said, the USAC guys now, the guys that are running sprint cars, I guess Kaylee with the Silver Crown car, they were probably in their last year of junior sprints right when I started, and then they moved up. But the level of talent out there is not anything to hang your head about if you don't make an A feature or you don't win consistently every night in a row. I know there's a bunch of parents that want to win, or kids that beat themselves up about it. And I was thankful that, I was able to see the difference in, putting in the work and not necessarily succeeding every single night. But then when we did, it just feels 10 times better because you are racing against the best of the best. And to look back on that 11 years later now, to be able to say, wow, like I grew up, these are my friends, like I'm still best friends with some of those people. And we grew up, like you said, in the prime time of Port City. Like Aaron really was great with working the track. The track was never terrible. They were just on their A game every weekend. It so much like goes into that it's not only, what you're doing and what your program brings in, but like what the track brings in, how good your program is that you bring in, and all of it just meshing together to make us all where we are today. And like everybody says, and it's kind of cheesy, like Port City got me here today, but it's true. Like if it weren't for Port City and how hard we all had to work every weekend because it was so competitive and it was so tough, car counts were never low, even in junior sprints, we were 20 plus cars every single weekend that we were out there, even a weekly show. So I think that helped. Like, I truly think that Port City is a great learning track for everybody. And then even now, we're still huge car counts most weekends. When they have a big show, the pits are filled, the stands are filled. What Shane's done with the track is great. I love going out there as much as I can, to watch the little kids growing up, and just kind of get to live through like their eyes and see what I was seeing at that time and now like how they're living it. I don't know, I just love it.
You have a better understanding of it, and it's kind of cool to go back. You said a couple of cool things in your last little break there about racing with the boys. You grew up with the Macintosh boys, and racing has been forever a male dominant sport. The boys. What is it like being a female in a male dominant sport? I mean, it's not like these days you got guys going and playing female sports, but we're not going to break into the politics of everything. But you're on the playing field with some of the best boys, and being a girl, do you feel like you get judged for that? And how do you handle that pressure or the stress or just the racing with the boys?
Yeah, I mean, by no means is it easy. I think anybody that has ever been in a more male-dominant sport could tell you that, whether it be racing or another sport, we're really surrounded by some of the best people. I will not tell you that I haven't ever been defeated by it or been judged by it, because I definitely have. I've definitely obviously gotten like nasty messages on social media about being a female in a male-dominant sport, or people saying stuff about it. Never can go past an interview without the announcer saying something about it, which I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much anymore. I've learned to grow past it. Like, it is what it is. I chose this life. I quit cheer and dance to race, because my parents really didn't want me to race. So they were like, you have to quit everything. And I hung it up, and they didn't think I was going to stick with it, but it's really like, I love it. And growing up, like you said, I have grown up with the Macintosh family my whole life. They're like brothers to me, and Dave's like an uncle. They have helped me so much through it. All the other girls that I raced with, like at Port, like Holly and Joey, Kelsey, Kaylee, they've been great. Honestly, in sprint cars, there's not a whole lot of females. Like, I feel like there's every night some like more in micros than there are in sprint cars. We were the only female sprint car driver last weekend at Eagle, which, I mean, it's probably a 50-50 shot throughout the year if we are or not. But I mean, everybody has been super welcoming, like when we go out of town to race. And it's really, they don't really bat an eye anymore. I think because it is getting a little more popular with females coming into racing, but I try not to let it bother me as much as I can. I think that I've just grown the mindset of, like, it's going to bother them more than it is me, and it's going to mess them up more. So I'm just going to let them worry about what is going on. And I mean, like, once I put my helmet on, I tuck my hair in my race suit. You can't tell. Besides, I mean, obviously we have a pink car this year, but I've seen lots of guys with a pink car. We've had a red, white, and blue car for the past 2 years. So, I mean, you really never know, like, unless you have heard the name of the driver or you know who's in that car. Like, you really don't know until the helmet comes off who's coming out of the car. I think that it does surprise a lot of people sometimes, especially last year whenever we didn't have like a super feminine car, and they might not have seen me before the races, or they might just not know, and I come out and I'm just this small little 5'2" blonde girl, happy as can be at the racetrack most of the time, and I'm just popping out and saying hi to everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but it's definitely something that's overcomable. I would never straight anybody to say you couldn't do it. If there's like one piece of advice, it's don't let others, judge you off of what you want to do. Like, obviously there's guy cheerleaders in the world. Cheerleading's a very female dominant sport. I think they do a great job. I sometimes think that male cheerleaders are better. It's just how it is. And I think that, like, really within the past couple years too, like, our sport has given a lot of attention to females and really, like, praised them for overcoming what they want to do and being strong enough, because some of these girls do, the guys aren't nice to them, or they are the only female 95% of the time, which I know can't be easy. But it's really the people that back you in it that make it even easier. They've supported me since the beginning. My mom and dad have been great. Just everybody that has really supported my backbone through it all and just never batted an eye at what I wanted to do or what I love. And I appreciate it so much.
Whenever you talk about that, being a female in this sport, it's a lot of people have this common neglect of information that you just show up and you drive the race car. You're just this pretty girl with the helmet bag and everything else. They don't realize the day-to-day work and grind that goes into it. I know whenever I was working at D1 at Edge with Holly, she was very hands-on and really got into doing it. Michelle Decker, one of the pioneers, and Shannon McQueen, they're really hands-on their race program. Talk about what it takes throughout the week, because right now it's just you and Dad. I mean, you had some help with Shane whenever he was here, but he decided to load up and go off and play Farmer Shane or something stupid. But
trust me, I agree.
But what is it like on the other side? Like what they don't see, what people don't see. They just see this beautiful blonde girl climbing out of the race car and it's, oh, daddy's money and whatever. But it's much more than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've heard it all from daddy's money to you don't have to do anything, you don't work on your car, you don't do this, you don't do that, which, I mean, isn't true. And the people that have gotten to know me or have been around my racing program know that that's not true. My dad works full-time. I work full-time. Up until yesterday, was a full-time high school student also. So racing isn't technically a full-time job, but in my eyes it is. To other people, it's probably just a hobby for me, but it's also a full-time job. So trying to manage school, 2 full-time jobs, and then getting up and down the road every weekend and being back to work the next week isn't the easiest thing, but we don't have it down to a science. Not gonna lie to you. We are not, there are weekends that we will show up at a racetrack and I'll be like, oh, we didn't fill the fuel jugs, or we didn't do this, or we didn't do that. It just happens. I mean, we have a whiteboard on the wall with a list of things that we need to do every weekend, and somehow something always gets missed, I feel like. But I mean, it's just part of it. I know we're not the only team that happens to. We're on our A game most of the time, and little stuff just happens here and there. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I wash the car, I wash the trailer every week. I get everything ready to go. My dad had to go to New Jersey the other week, so I had to wash the car and pretty much get everything ready for the time that he got back. We had to load up and leave to go to Nebraska. So, I mean, there are times that I just really want to lay on the ground and just cry and rethink everything. But at the end of the day, it pays off. Working on your own car pays off, because if the guy next to you needs help and they've only got 1 or 2 guys, you can jump in and help the best you can, or, see if they need anything. And that's going to reflect on you. And, if you ever need help, like you said, right now it's just me and my dad. So, thankfully we've had a pretty smooth year so far and haven't had a whole lot of work to do at the racetrack, but, it reflects on you. And if you're willing to help the other people, they're going to be willing to help and jump in, if something happens, help you get fixed and get back out on the track, or roll it in the trailer in a decent piece, at the end of the night. But it's challenging sometimes. There are some days that I work all day and I'm just there is no way I can go to the shop today, but I just know I need to. I know what I need to get done. We are leaving for Nebraska again probably Saturday morning, and my car's still in Oklahoma City. So I'm thankful that my dad is in town this week and has a light-ish workload and was able to go get that for me so I can be here talking to you. But we've almost got this car ready to go, so it'll stay here for our Tulsa races and stuff, and then the other car will be for Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, kind of our stuff up north, so we can go steal Shane back and maybe just kidnap him and bring him back home. I don't know, that's just, it's a thought in the back of my mind. I don't really know how that's gonna work yet, but I've been thinking about it for a while. Not the happiest he left, but I am happy that they're home and around their family. It looks like they're having a great time. It looks like Deacon loves it out there. I miss them a lot. It's not fun not having Shane. Me and my dad butt heads a lot. So Shane was kind of the buffer between us when there was not good blood with me and my dad. But we get along really well. So for the most part, it's just the grind from you wash, you got to make sure that you have a clean car, and then you got to service everything. And the best way that I've learned it is I have to do it in the same order every week, or I will miss something, or I will go over something twice, or forget what I was on. So I just go in the same order every week. You know, I do the bars, I do the nozzles. I will, my dad will change the oil. I'm not going to lie on that one. I'll pour the oil in. He'll normally run the valves. And then I'll do the ball and everything for him, change the gears, just get everything ready to go. For the most part, it's just the same, you know, day to day. Let's knock this off this week. Let's do this week. You know, let's just like make sure that everything's in order, ready to go. And then normally, the both of us like to fire off the night before that we load up and just make sure everything's ready to go. And then we load the trailer and head down the road.
So whenever it comes to racing out of state and everything else and traveling, that's a good time. What's your go-to snack, drink, and what's on the playlist whenever you're on your way to South Dakota? Because your dad has a wide range of music, from Cardi B to Willie Nelson in a matter of 2 songs. So he goes from hood to good to hip hop to everything in 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, so I mean, if you've met K-Dog, he's a character. Everybody loves him. He's literally the world's best dad, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, him and his music, it gets me. It really does. Like you said, we can be listening to Cardi B 1 second, and the next second you don't know what's going to be on. So, if you ever get in the truck with us or ever come to the shop, just beware. You don't know what kind of music is going to be playing. For snacks, I have like 3 huge, and when I say huge, that's not an exaggeration, bags of purple Skittles. It's a necessity, and if I ever run out, I will probably cry because I have to have them everywhere I go. If you're one of my really good friends, or if you've seen me recently, you know I carry them everywhere. Candy probably isn't healthy enough, so we eat a lot of like meat trays. So like we always have turkey and cheese in the trailer, or in the toter, I guess. My mom made some like pickle pinwheels last week that were pretty good. I don't know, we have the most absurd stuff because I'll go to the grocery store, like my mom will go to the grocery store when I'm hungry, so I just tell her to pick stuff up, and then I have snacks. We have a lot of cereal. My dad is a huge cereal eater. For the most part, though, it's just, if it's me and my dad, you might want to make sure mom stocked the toter first. The first week.
What's the beverage though? Like are you a big pop fan, a Gatorade fan, a Drink Victory? Are you
So I'm not a huge soda fan, but I do need a Dr. Pepper here and there. Gets me through my days. I'm a really big Red Bull fan, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. That gets us.
That's why you have the wings.
It gives me wings.
There you go.
Yeah. Gets me and Dad down the road when we have to drive late at night, like when we're going to South Dakota. Because we don't sleep, but Mom and Brooklyn do. So, yeah, Victory Fuel, really good. Love it. I actually have a case coming this week, so
it's finally back in stock.
I know, I'm so excited. So if you guys haven't gotten your Victory Fuel yet, go to drinkvictoryfuel.com and make sure you get it because it'll be sold out soon. Jordan and Kevin and everybody at the shop's doing a great job getting that out. So yeah, water for the most part when I'm racing, I really try to stay away from Gatorade because it's so sugary and it gives me a headache. Don't know why, but I drink a lot of water. So water, Red Bull, an occasional Dr. Pepper. That's pretty much it.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Let's get outside of racing a little bit and let's talk about the education. You kind of alluded to it a little bit that you haven't necessarily been like the typical high school student, right? You've been doing the online deal, but you've been working and everything else. And you made a pretty solid and bold statement on the social medias probably 3 to 4 weeks ago, I would say, about your choice and your decision and what you're going to do with your future. The choice to go to school was something that was made on your own, right? Like to further that path and like really choose what you're going to do to maybe support what you want to do in racing, because we all know it's mostly self-funded 90% of the time. Yes, you have great partners and you have great people that are working to get more great sponsors with you. JP Murray is a great guy that I know is a part of your team. He's part of our team at Port City too. But it can't be done all by sponsorship 98% of the time. So it takes some self-funding. So tell me about the decision to go to OU over OSU, where your sister's at, to further that aspect, to keep on the education path. Like what went into that thought process of doing all that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've kind of always known that I was going to go to college and get some sort of medical degree from the time I was in kindergarten. You had to walk across the stage and say what you wanted to be when you grew up. So it's just always kind of been in the back of my mind. Freshman year, I got a really bad concussion at the shootout, actually, and didn't find out until Chili Bowl was over, and landed in the hospital, and they ended up pulling me out of school. Had to go to a concussion specialist for like 90 days or something like that before I was cleared to do anything. That was a big part of my racing journey, of where I just really didn't know what was next. They told me that I probably wasn't going to be able to race again, that if I got in the car too soon and crashed, that it would probably be over. There wouldn't be any more ifs, ands, or buts about racing. It would be too dangerous. So I'm thankful that we went through the steps of getting me well and getting me healthy. And then that was an easy transition to go online. Up until the second semester of my 9th grade year, I was in person. So I went online, and it just changed a lot for us. We were able to travel more. We didn't have to stress about how many days of school I was missing. That was kind of right when the pandemic hit too, so everybody had to kind of switch to online. And then when I got into my sophomore year, I really talked to my parents. I was like, listen, like, I want to do online. I want to be able to race as much as I can. I want to work, I just could care less about school at the time. And my mom, sorry, Mom, I pushed her to the last minute on every single assignment. I would be weeks behind and then be like, oh, I'm going to do it all in a day and get it done. But I graduated. I did my schoolwork. I'm going to tell you all now, just do it when it's due, because it's a lot easier than doing 45 assignments in a day. I can promise you that. But I mean, going online like really helped. I was able to pace myself at a different speed. If I knew we were going to be gone for a week on vacation or racing or this and that, no matter what it was, I could get ahead or behind. But I will say I got ahead. And it really did help. Like, we were going down the road to Nebraska the other weekend, and I finished my classes, and that was just like a super easy deal. Like, I didn't have to think about, oh, I'm missing finals at school right now. I just logged on, took my finals, and I was done. And I was done a couple days early, so then I didn't have to stress about school anymore. I was done until I had to walk for graduation, obviously. But recently I made the decision to go to OU, like you said. Made that a public decision here in the past couple weeks. It wasn't an easy decision. I will say probably one of the harder decisions I've had to make in life. I was planning to go to North Carolina all of last year, pretty much. I just love it.
To do what? To do what?
So I'm going to school for physical therapy. My minor is technically in physical therapy, and my major is going to be in kinesiology, which is the sports medicine side of physical therapy. So a lot of school ahead, but I had decided that I was going to North Carolina. That's where I wanted to be, applied to the college I wanted to go to, got accepted to the college I wanted to go to. All was right in the world, and I didn't have to think about college until I moved in. And then it started settling in that I was going to be 18 hours away from my parents, and if anything happened, they couldn't get to me in a day. We know so many amazing people in North Carolina, so it's not the fact of I don't know people out there. There's not somebody that could have helped me when they're not available to, because we do. And obviously Cannon lives out there now, so we've got family out there pretty much. So it was tough for me of leaving my family when I spend pretty much every waking minute with my mom and dad. I work at the same company my mom works at. I race with my dad every weekend, and that's how it's always been. So I just really started thinking about it, and I talked to one of my super close friends, and I was like, I really just don't know what to do. Like, I'm stuck in a position of, do I go to North Carolina and pretty much quit racing because I can't just drive home every weekend to race? Or do I look at some colleges closer and, obviously cut down from however many races we have this season to I'm going to be a full-time college student, but still get a race here and there, get a race the big money shows, and still get to be close to my family. And so I really just thought on it. I prayed on it. There was so many decisions, and we were on our way to New Mexico, and my mom's like, have you thought about where you want to go to school? And so I toured Arkansas and OU, and I fell in love with OU. I've been to OSU so many times to see my sister. February 1st, we were on our way to New Mexico to ski, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to fill the OU application out because it was the deadline. Nothing like waiting till the last minute again. So I fill the application out while we're on the way, and I was like, well, maybe I just won't get in, and if I don't get in, I don't have to make a decision. And I was like, okay, I'm already into the other school, so like if I don't get in here, I'm just gonna go to North Carolina. We're done talking about it. Though if ands or buts, and that's how I was making my decision. Closed the computer, didn't think about it for the rest of the week. Had a great time skiing, spent time with my family, and it all kind of set in that week when I knew like I didn't want to leave my family right now, that maybe in a couple years I'll be ready to just kind of walk away and like be on my own. But I think a 2-hour drive is enough for me right now.
Yeah, little by little.
Yeah, we'll go 2 hours and then we'll maybe go the full swing. I don't know. So I got the email that I had gotten accepted, and that really put me in a pickle because I was like, well, now I do have to make a decision. And so I deferred to spring semester, so I'll start in January so I can race the rest of my season out, and just kind of take things slow the rest of the year. I'm going to do online classes, so I'm a little more ahead than I need to be, and then just kind of see how it goes. I'm excited for it. Not an easy decision, but I definitely think I made the right decision. I feel at home in Norman. I'm excited to be in Norman. I'm not going to be close to my sister or my mom and dad, but that's fine. It's a 2-hour drive, like I said. Now we have a house divided. Like you said, my sister goes to OSU. I just didn't love it. Go Pokes, I guess. That's really only for my sister. But I was a Pokes fan for a year, and I made that very clear when my sister graduated that I was going to be a Pokes fan for a year. It was all just a joke at first. Like, I didn't think I was going to go to OU, honestly. And so I was like, oh, you're going to have a house divided. Like, are you guys ready for this? And my mom's like, no, I'm not. My sister's like, I'm going to call OU and tell them that you can't go there. Of course she would do that. For anybody that doesn't know, yes, I have a sister. That's a big question all the time.
Wait, no, sister?
I have a sister. She is older than me. She will be a sophomore in college next year, so cleared that up to most of the racing world that doesn't know. I'm not an only child. I have a sister. She sometimes makes appearances at the racetrack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm thankful for the guidance from my family and friends and peers. I know that there were some people pretty stressed out that I was going to be so far away. So sorry for stressing everybody out right now, but we're not going to move. We're just going to go to Norman, 2 hours away. You all can come visit.
Very easy.
yeah, it's an easy drive. So I'm excited. The next chapter of my life, I think, is going to be a pretty big one for me. So getting a doctorate's not going to be easy, but I'm really don't have another choice right now because I don't know what else I would major in.
Yeah. Might as well go big or go home.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, we're gonna go to school and we're gonna get our doctorate and we're gonna make the best of the next 8 years.
Man, it sounds like a long time, but it's gonna fly by. Just like the beginning of the racing career to now has kind of just flown by. Whenever you think back now, Elizabeth, in closing here, think back to 7, 8, 9-year-old Elizabeth. If you could go back and tell yourself something that you know now that you didn't know then about racing, about school, about life, about boys, about anything, like what would your advice be to that little girl that's out there that may be racing now, that may be ready to give up on cheerleading, or that may be ready to give up on anything? Like, what would your advice be?
Don't give up, for sure. Like, I mean, obviously everybody says that. They're probably the 3 easiest words to say besides I love you to your parents, but I mean, the amount of times that people, don't give up or don't hang your head about that was, a good run, or that wreck wasn't your fault, or everybody, has wrecks here and there. It's easy to listen to that, and it's easy for the people on the outside to say, or people that don't know necessarily what you go through behind closed doors. It's different being in a position of being a female in racing or being a male in racing. And by no means, is it easier for one or the other, because I think it's just as hard for the guys, if not harder, because their parents are probably harder on them. But I mean, yeah, don't give up. Pursue your dream and work through the tears, work through the hardships. You will get past it. And I feel like that's one thing that, I've had a couple things in life that have just really set me back, and I'm just like, do I want to do this anymore? Do I want to go this next step? And whatever it is in life, and I've just worked through it, and it hasn't been easy by any means, but I've had a couple concussions with racing. That's, never the best. I had an injury in 2018 that set me out for a couple weeks. That wasn't great either, but I pushed through it. I worked through it. I told myself that if this is what I wanted to do, that I had to work for it, and I'm not just going to let it get handed to me. I work on my car every week. I wash my car in the trailer every week. I have just started driving the rig. So that was a big milestone last week. But I mean, yeah, don't give up. Pursue the life. Don't take the small things for granted. Every little thing in life really does matter. And I've truly started seeing that this year with not doing the traditional, senior high school things. I have literally done 3 things. My senior year, I went to our state game, I went to our senior breakfast, I went to graduation. So, I kind of regret it that I didn't spend my senior year with everybody, but at the same time, I don't, because I did. I spent my senior year with my people. I started off this semester, obviously, at Shootout and Chili Bowl with the best friends in the world, the greatest weeks of my life. I think that was probably just some of the best times. Take the picture, take the video, capture the memories with your friends, because you're going to miss it. And there's so many times that I will think back and be like, man, I wish that I took a picture of this, or I wish that I captured, whatever we were living in right then, because it's not every day that you don't know what's going to happen next. It's not every day that you're going to be with all of your friends together at the same place, or maybe somebody's out of town and they can't make it. FaceTime them, show them what's going on. Just make the best of every moment. Really let those moments set in and think about them, and just live your best life. That is honestly, I've told my parents my whole senior year, I'm like, oh, I'm living my best life. I'm doing everything I've ever dreamed of. And that's true. I am. I'm doing life however it goes and not really batting an eye at it. If we make it to this racetrack this weekend, we do. If we don't this weekend, we don't. We've had rainouts. We've had a couple weekends that we just were not ready to go. One car was in the city getting dynoed, and one car just was in pieces. So it's not easy. And we've, we'll take a weekend off, and if my sister's home from college, we would spend it with her. So that was nice. But now that we're like really kicked in, both cars are completely ready to go at any moment, just to load in the trailer and get down the road. We are traveling a lot, so don't take those moments for granted. Like you said, with my dad's music, I sing along with him sometimes. Like, I've had to listen to him for the past 18 years of my life, so I know pretty much every song that is on his playlist. I was driving the rig last weekend down the road, and we actually got into some pretty heavy rain, and I know he was nervous because I was really nervous, but he wasn't saying anything. There was no radio on. He was just looking at his phone, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna need you to put something on because I just couldn't drive in silence anymore. He wasn't saying anything to me, and he was finally like, are you nervous? I was like, yep, sure am. And I mean, I drove straight through the rain first time, got it over with. So take every little thing that you do for granted. When your parents want silly pictures of you, just let them take them. You won't be thankful your senior year, I can promise you that, because your mom will post them on Facebook.
But in the long run,
you'll be thankful to have them. I'm thankful to have the pictures, from junior sprint days when my mom's the worst at taking pictures, so I'm not going to say my mom took them, but somebody else's mom took them of all of us, playing or hanging out in a trailer, just sitting around waiting for our next race. And like, I cherish those moments with everything that I have, because I can look back and think, wow, like, look at how far we've all come. Probably at least 95% of us are still friends to this day, and as close as we were in the junior sprint days. So we're thankful for Port City that they brought us together. But yeah, I mean, just don't take anything for life and granted. You don't know when it's going to get taken from you, or you don't know what could happen next. Take the picture, live in the moment, like truly live your best life, because you really do only live once.
Doesn't get much better than that. Take the picture, live in the moment. This has been Elizabeth Phillips on the Talks RoadShow.
Performance Electronics, custom electronic solutions. From design to manufacturing, let us put your ideas in motion and become your company's full-service electronics manufacturing experts. Performance Electronics.